Can we start, Prakash?
Sure, Benjaji. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing classes are on Bhagavad Gita, offered by Bindoji, with a lens of Advaita applied on it. And he compares notes with other lineages also. And the replays of all these 21 classes are available either on Clubhouse, where you can catch them as replays, or you can go to the YouTube channel called Advaita Retold, which is pasted in the chat. And that is a well-catalogued sections where all these talks are, not just Bhagavad Gita, but Abaroksha Anubhuti and the classes that were conducted earlier are also presented there. For housekeeping, we're going to shut down the chat and the hand raising. And after an hour, after Binduji's finished his class, we'll open it up for Q&A with any further clarifications pertaining to the topic. Thank you all for coming, and over to you, Binduji.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, everyone, for being there. Let me start with my invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya Shruti Smriti Purana Malayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashi Kridau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Asmasri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Slokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvandi Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapada Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tatgatena Manasa Pasyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam Navidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. In the second chapter, Krishna is addressing Arjuna, who had become melancholic and despondent from the very fact that he has to fight his own relatives, teachers, grandsires, etc., and death is inevitable. And to shake off this melancholy in Arjuna and make him realize that what is befitting of a person like Arjuna, how he should be looking into the issue. So Krishna addresses first from the metaphysical point of view. Then he addressed it from the Swadharma point of view, that is one's own righteous duties. And we stopped in the last class where it is coming to on the transactional level. Akirtim chapi bhutani katayishyanti te avyayam sampavidasya cha akirtim maranad adiruchyate. People will talk about your unending ill fame if you do not fight this war. And for a respectable person who had been looked upon by the whole world, ill fame is worse than death. So when this has been told to Arjuna, he is listening, but still not very clear as to what he should be doing. So, to continue this matter, Krishna goes to the next verse, which is 35. Kincha means moreover. Bhayat, okay, let me put it that way. Bhayat ranat uparatam manyande tvam maharada yesham cha tvam bahumata bhutva yasyasi laghava. Bhayat, out of fear. Ranat, from battle. Uparatam, run away. Manyante, people will think about you. Tvam. Maharata, the chief of warriors. Yesham, of whom cha tvam, and you. Bahumata, highly established. By becoming Laghava, inferior. In the prose order, if we want to, even we read it, cha, moreover, Yesham tvam bahumata bhutva laghavam yasyasi. These people whom considers you have highly esteemed, by becoming inferior, you will be, looked down who has run away from the battle. So when Krishna addresses Arjuna this way, all these great battalion of commanders, all those, Maharata commanders, will think that you have withdrawn from the battle due to fear of fighting. Because that is what you are showing physically. And what you show physically is what is seen by them. Because you have thrown your bow and arrow and sitting there and, crying. Therefore, you will be looked down upon by them who had thought that, you are a great warrior, unbeatable. And all those qualifications which they were thinking about you, of your heroism in the past, that will all be, ridiculed by those people who think that you have run away from the war. In the commentary, Shankaracharya says that Bhayat Karnadibhyah Ranad Yuddhat Uparatam Nivrittam Manyante Chintayashyante Na Kripayeti Tvam Maharada Duryodhana Prabhudaya. Karna Adibhya means Karna and others. Bhayat na kripaya, that you have withdrawn out of fear, not out of compassion for your own relatives, teachers and grandsires. Ranat yuddhad uparatam means yuddhad nivrittam. You have withdrawn from this war due to fear and not due to compassion for this thing, because they are not able to hear what you are saying. They are looking at you, sitting down and crying, throwing away your bow and arrow. These Maharathas means Duryodhana Prabhadayaha, Duryodhana and the like. Tvam manyante chintayishyanti. This is the way they will be thinking about you. Esham chatvam duryodhanadinam bahumataha bahubhi gunai yuktaha iti evam mataha Bahumataha bhutva puna lakhavam laghu bhavam yasyasi. And among those very people, Duryodhana, others, by whom you were previously regarded as highly esteemed and endowed with many, many noble victories and qualities, having been so esteemed before, you will again fall into a disesteem or into a state of insignificance. The interpretation is ethical psychological analysis. So this passage introduces the third line of argument. Earlier one was this metaphysics and intrinsic duty, that Swadharma. That is Atmajnana and Swadharma were the first two line of argument for Arjuna to understand. The social and psychological consequences of inaction is what is being now used by. Krishna is very careful here. He is not praising the concern for reputation, but exposing the factual outcome of Arjuna's withdrawal. That is why he is saying that they will not think that you are not doing out of compassion. So that is not at all praised by Krishna. On the contrary, he exposes the factual outcome that Arjuna is withdrawing out of fear. Not parapaya, not out of compassion. Bhayat, by fear or from fear. The world does not read the inner motives. All of our actions, please understand that. The world cannot read our inner motives. What is running in our mind when we do an action? They always judge us with the external conduct in which we are performing it. Thus even Arjuna, even though he feels compassion for his teachers and others, the other warriors will interpret this as a withdrawal, as cowardice. This sharp criticism by Krishna is to expose that inner intention does not protect one from others' judgment. The word used by Krishna as Maharata, who were the people who were considering him are seasoned warriors, those who are equal in battle and rival in honor. All these people are the one who are going to judge Arjuna as, who are now considering Arjuna as Maharata. But a disrepute here will be a professional degradation, but not a gossip which will not be discussed between themselves. They will try out and even call out you by names. And to a Kshatriya, a warrior, such incidents of disqualification or professional degradation strikes at the very identity of the individual and calls for a degradation in the vocation or the class in which he is born. Also will lose the credibility in future. Nobody will be there to, look upon to Arjuna in case of an emergency or a situation warranting his support. Bahumata means those who are the people who are considering Arjuna as the greatest. But when they consider him as lightest or the Lakhavam, it is a fall. It is not even a mere insult, but it is a fall in the eyes of your opponents. This loss of honor can be painful because it is a reversal of his own courage which he had been showing earlier, from a recognized excellence to a dismissed insignificance. This can destabilize not only now, even in future, with Arjuna's capacity to act under similar situation. Because having lost that courage in the crucial time, he will doubt himself whether he has the potency to do it. This argument is deliberately to bring in shame in Arjuna, because it does not appeal the truth. It does not appeal for liberation. These are the first two, metaphysical and Swadharma. These are the two places where he had used it. But it appeals to Arjuna's own self-understanding of his own, self-respect which he had. So Krishna uses this strategically, knowing that the metaphysical explanation may not have been assimilated by Arjuna, and the duty may still feel very heavy on him when it comes to killing his own grandsire and teachers. But when it is pickled with the loss of honor, it will immediately become intelligible to Arjuna. Therefore, this is a upaya bheda. Upaya bheda means adapting an instruction befitting the listener, so that the listener becomes attentive. Now, is it contradictory with Advaita? No. Does not contradict with the Advaita teaching at all. Honor and dishonor are relatively unreal in the Vyavaharika world only. So as long as one functions in Vyavahara, the social consequences will be operative. And freedom from ego does not license unavoidable dysfunction. So when the whole summary is to be seen as this verse, when the higher truth has not been established in action, yet the realities of the world are invoked to prevent a collapse by the teacher. Because he wants, one way or the other, Arjuna to get invigorated back to fighting the war. He goes again into the next verse, that is verse number 36. Avachya vadancha bahun vadishyanti cha tava ahita nindandaha tava samartyam tada dukkataram kim nu. Tava samartyam, your skill or might. Nindandaha, by decrying that. Tava ahita, your enemies. Ahita, hita means friends. Ahita means enemies. Bahun avachya vadan cha vadishyanti. Bahun, many. Avachya vadan means unbecoming words. Vachya means words. No, befitting. Avachya means unbefitting or unbecoming. Vadan means words. Cha vadishyanti. Also they will be speaking about that. Tataha dukkadaram kimnu bhavishyati. What is more distressing, what that can be there for a person like you when you abandon the war? Shankaracharya not much of a commentary is written. Avachyavadan avyaktavadancha bahun aneka prakaran vadishyanti tava ahitaha satravaha nindandaha kuchandaha tava twadiyam samartyam nivataka vachadi yuddha nimittam tata tasmat ninda praptehe dukkataram nukim tata kashtataram dukkham nasti atyartaha. Avachyavadan means avyaktavadan, that is unbefitting words. Bahun, many. Aneka prakaran, in the different ways. Vadishyanti, they will be talking about you. Tava avhita satravaha, nindandaha, kuchandaha. All those are the different meanings. Satravaha means enemies. Nindandaha means those who, decry you. Kuchandaha, who are unworthy of utterance. Tava tudiyam samartyam, the very prowess you had displayed in the battles such as with the Nivataka Vacha. See, Nivataka Vacha, Indra once asked for help from his son Arjuna, even though he is Kundi Putra, he is born out of boon from Indra. So he is Indra Putra. So Indra asks Arjuna once, he wants Arjuna's help for Nivataka Vacha. That is the name of a set of demons. There are 10 million demons who are placed under water. And each one of them is equal to another 10 million soldiers. So that was the number of demons whom Indra wanted Arjuna to defeat in a war, to save that they don't attack the gods in the heaven, Indra, etc. in that, because they were frequently attacked by the Nivataka Vacha. So Arjuna goes to the bottom of the sea and fights and wins the war against the Nivataka Vacha. And in the process, he was gifted by the prince of the demon as his wife by the chief of the Nivataka Vacha. So that story is what Krishna, here Shankaracharya is referring in the commentary. Krishna also mentions about it. Nivataka Vacha, Krishna is not mentioning. Avachyavadan bahu vadishyanti tava hita. Nindandis tava samartyam. That tava samartyam is what Shankaracharya is mentioning as Nivataka Vacha adi yuddha nimittam, where you had fought such a big war and won it for yourself, for the sake of the devas. Tata tasmat ninda prapte dukkha dukkataram nukim tataha kashtataram dukkham na asti ityartaha. From this, or from the pain arising due to the attainment of such reproach, what could possibly be more painful for a hero like you who could defeat such a large enemy? This enemy in front of you is pittance compared to them. And there can be no sorrow or grievous than this for a person like you. This passage continues Krishna's graded pedagogy, which Shankaracharya is carefully unfolding. Having invoked the metaphysical truth, duty and honor in the beginning, he now points to the psychic violence of public humiliation. So he is trying all means. Avachya and avaktavya. There are two words which Shankaracharya has used in the commentary. He distinguishes the two kinds of verbal injury one can happen. Avachya means statement that should not be spoken at all, means morally disgraceful. Avaktavya are the statement that decent people will avoid uttering, means socially unacceptable words. So the enemies will not merely criticize, they will transgress all norms which are either by disgracing or by indecent words. This indicates the malice, delight in degradation, and deliberate assault in reputation, which Krishna feels that should shake up Arjuna. And to target Arjuna's power is the word the Nivatakavacha's Yuddha has been mentioned by Shankaracharya in his commentary. So, the Ninda or the disgrace is called the greatest sorrow. Dukkataram nukim. What more can you expect in the form of a degradation or a disgrace for you? This is not a metaphysical claim, but for one who still operates within the social identity, a person whose mind has not yet transcended the honor and dishonor of social norms. So for him, the public condemnation becomes the most acute suffering. What does it do? It corrodes the self-trust or the self-motivation which one has. And the resolve with which he came to fight the war, that erodes, that gets eroded. And that will also spoil the capacity to act in the time of requirement. Here the teaching is not reputation is ultimately real or insult truly harms the self. Rather, as long as Arjuna stands in the Kshatriya Vyavahara, he cannot pretend indifferent to dishonor without inner fracture. So this skillful means is not the final doctrine of the Gita, but a guarded words from Krishna to tickle Arjuna about the possible dishonor he has to face. At this point, Krishna has removed hesitation from every possible angle. From the point of truth, no one gets killed or no one is killing. From the point of duty, this is a righteous battle as Swadharma, as because you are the Kshatriya. From the point of honor, withdrawal will invite contempt. And at the psychological level, a slander can inflict the deepest worldly pain for a warrior of Arjuna's nature. So it shows that inaction has no refuge left. There is no way you can adhere to inaction. So the implication remains, the self is untouched by slander, but for the unprepared mind, it is not. Therefore, until knowledge is firm, right action protects the inner stability. Yuddhe punaha kriyamane karmabhihi. On the other hand, if the battle with Karna and others is taken up, what will happen? So that is what next verse 37 is addressing. Atha va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bokshase mahin tasmad uttishta kaundeya yuddhaya krita nischayaha. Va, either, means he is giving two options. Hataha, you have been slain or being slain by others. Tvam swargam prapsasi. In that case, you will reach the swargam or the heaven, because you have died in a war which is meant for your dharma. Otherwise, or tvam jitva mahim bokshasi. If you, by other means, if you are conquering and winning this war, this world of victory and the post-victorious enjoyments are for you. Tasmat kaunteya. Therefore, Arjuna, krita nischaya tvam yuddhaya uttishta. Determined by you to fight the war, please get up. This is the final advice which Krishna is saying, that either being killed by you will attain heaven, or having won the war enemies, you will have the kingdom to you and the pleasures thereafter. Therefore, Arjuna, get up, having made the determination to fight the war. There cannot be a more befitting evaluation by Krishna. Shankaracharya writes, Hatava prapsasi swargam. Hataha san swargam prapsasi. If you are slain, you will attain heaven. Being slain means you will be indeed attain heaven, because for a Kshatriya, if he is killed in a war for the duty which he is fighting for, killing is an incidental thing, you will be attaining heaven. Or else, jitva va karnan adin shuran bokshase mahim. Having conquered the heroic warriors like as Karna, Dushasana, Duryodhana, etc., you will win. You will enjoy this kingdom. So either heaven or the kingdom. In either case, for you there is only gain alone. Yata evam tasmad uttishta kaundeya yuddhaya krita nischaya. Ch02 shatrun marishyami va iti nischayam krutva ityartah. Since this is so, that is both the options, you are winner of both the options. Therefore, arise, O son of Kundi, Kaundeya, resolute for battle, having made the firm resolve, Jeshyami Shatrun, I shall conquer the enemies, or Marishyamiva, I shall die. Iti Nischayam Kritva, with the firm resolve like this, please get up for the war. This passage provides the decisive closure of hesitation which can be there in the mind of Arjuna. There is no chance for any hesitation. In either case, it is a non-loss calculus within the framework of a Kshatriya's duty. Either winning the war, you get the kingdom and the pleasures. Losing the war, you are in the heaven. Both the outcomes are one gain only. Death in the righteous battle will get you Surga. Victory in the righteous battle will get you Rajya Sugha. There is no third outcome which can come out of this involving loss. So the imagined loss and imagined compassion, they are all baseless. Shankara is careful here. this is not a glorification of heaven or a kingship as ultimate goals. He brings in the Vyavaharika incentives and makes sure that they are not Paramarthika ends. They are invoked because Arjuna has not yet stabilized in the self-knowledge. The teaching meets the student where he is currently poised or standing. So, having told the truth about the Atma, then talking about Swadharma, all those things Krishna has told in the beginning, but he knows that Arjuna is still not made up his mind for the war. Krita Nischaya, the word used by the phrase, it is the central of this verse, this shloka. It is not a blind aggression, it is not an emotional impulse, but a deliberate and reasoned resolve, a resolve framed precisely that victory or death, I accept both. This sort of an acceptance dissolves the anxiety and restores the agency in Arjuna. The outcome attachment is being neutralized. By equalizing both the outcomes as a victory or a win or a gain for Arjuna, Shankara subtly introduces the Nishkama Buddhi, action without clinging to the result, readiness for either of the consequences. This prepares the ground for later teachings on Karma Yoga, even while operating within Dharma. The next verse is the direction which will give us towards the Nishkama Karma or Karma Yoga. At this point, Krishna's instruction, as commented by Shankaracharya, has removed the grief of truth, removed the paralysis by the duty, and removed the fear by honor, removed the anxiety by outcome of equivalence. Therefore, nothing remains to justify inaction of Arjuna, which he was talking about earlier. When action is righteous and resolve is firm, even death ceases to be a loss. Tatra yuddham swadharmam ityevam yuddhamanasya upadesham imam shrunu. Now this is what we have to hear. Yuddham swadharmam ityevam. Yuddhamanasya means one who is ready for the war. For him, what is the upadesha from Krishna? Krishna is very, very clear in what he is uttering. There should not be any confusion. Sukha dukkhe samikritva labha labho jaya jayo tada yuddhaya yuddhasya natvam papam avapsyasi. Tvam, O Arjuna, you. Sukha dukkhe labha labho cha jaya jayo samikritva. Sukha dukkhe, pleasure and pain. Labha alabha, gain and loss. Jaya ajaya, victory and defeat. Three pair of opposites he is referring to that. And how does he link all the three opposites? Samekritva. By treating them alike, that is, treating pleasure and pain alike, gain or loss alike, victory or defeat alike. After that, get ready for the battle. Tata yujjasva yuddhaya. evam tvam papam na avapsasi. If you do it thus, treating them equally, seems alike, you will not incur any sin in the killing of the opponents in your war. Because that was the last straw Arjuna wanted to hear. Whether he will have a sinful effect in killing his own kith and kin and teacher and sire, grandsire, etc. So what attitude one should take in an inevitable situation where you have no choice but to act for your own duty, not with your desires, but for the upholding of the duty of peace in the society or dharma in the society. That is what Krishna advises Arjuna. You should treat pleasure and pain alike. In the war, you may be having pleasure and pain. Sometimes you will be pleased to hear some of your opponents have been killed. Sometimes it may pain you because you may hear that your near and dear one on your own side have been killed. Gain and loss. Some of the war, some days you will find that you have been able to dismantle most of the enemy's army. But in some other days, it may be the reverse. Your army may be losing more. So there can be gain some days, loss some days. You should treat them alike. And the final outcome of the battle can be either victory or defeat. In defeat means you will be slain. If it is victory, you have got the kingdom. In all these things, whether you get the kingdom or whether you lose the kingdom or whether you are killed, you should not be worried about the outcome. This he will explain later in the 3rd chapter and the 4th chapter, etc. So what one should take attitude in the case of a situation where opposite results or events takes place and can control your or can affect your actions. Your actions should be unperturbed by the events of the war, whether it gives you pain or pleasures, gain or loss, victory or defeat, doesn't matter. Sukha dukke same means tulye krutva, treating them alike. Raga desho api akrutva, and not giving rise to attachment and aversion. Raga and dvesha. Raga means attachment, dvesha means aversion. Akrutva, not giving rise to them. Tada labha alabho jaya jayo chau samau krutva. Same, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Tada yuddhaya yujyasva katasva. That means engage yourself in the battle. Exert yourself. Na evam yuddham kurvan papam avapsyasi. Such an instruction given incidentally in the context is telling Arjuna that a battle which you fight, engage in this style, will not incur any sin for you. Because it is not a desired action. Raga dvesho api akarutva. You are not fighting for the outcome of the war. You are fighting for the purpose of the war so that dharma can be learned by the society. In this passage, Shankaracharya concise formulation of mental discipline required for an action that does not bind by raga dvesha, has been mentioned only in the commentary, not in the shloka by Krishna. Here the equality is mental, not situational. It is not the situation which is pleasure and pain, gain or loss, or victory and defeat. The command is not to abolish pleasure, pain, gain, loss, victory, defeat in the world, but to equalize one's attitude towards them. Same tulye krutva means making them equal in one's understanding. With intelligence, you have to bring the balance between the pair of opposites. This is what is called the buddhi samskara. It is the clarity of the intellect and not a world of denial. By cutting the raga and dvesha, raga means attachment, attraction toward the pleasant, dvesha means aversion toward the unpleasant. Both, when you are cutting them from the root, means you are not even thinking about in that either attachment or aversion. Without neutralizing these, equality of outcome is impossible. You have to neutralize the raga and dvesha. Thus, equality of experience for all of us depends on the absence of emotional bias and not on the control of events. We should be very careful when emotions are involved in our actions. Our decisions will become biased. And we may not have the control on the events because the emotions will not be able to see it logically. From the inner equality to right action. That is what this shloka is all about. Only after this inner work does the instruction follow. Yuddhaya, yujyasva, gatasva means the action is demanded, but now without craving for the gain or without the fear of loss, without the obsession for either the victory or the defeat. Yuddhaya or yuddhasva. Get ready for the war. This is the seed of definition for karma yoga. We saw that nishkama karma, that when raga dvesha has been abandoned, you become nishkama. Nishkama means without attachments, or both for the action and the fruit of action. But there is a sin, na papam avapsyasi. There is a statement, why no sin occurs? The sin arises from egoistic doership and desires. For sin to come as a result for our actions should be tainted with an egoic doership, that I am the doer. So you get the result. It is my desire to fight the war. Then also you get the desire, or the outcome will be yours. So papam will come. But if you do that without the doership, egoic doership or the desire, such actions performed with equanimity towards pair of opposites. This doership and the desire will not be present there. Therefore, even the battle, when performed thus, does not produce any papa, means sin. The ethical weight shifts from the act itself to the mental orientation behind it. This is the most important thing which we should remember. Action by itself is not good or bad. But mental orientation behind it is what makes it good or bad. So this commentary where Shankaracharya brings the raga dvesha, which is not there in the verse, sloka, is prasangika, means is contextual. By calling the instruction prasangika, Shankara signals that this is not yet the highest teaching, Atmajnana. This is prasangika or contextual, preparatory for discipline. What does it do? It purifies the mind and removes the obstruction to knowledge. Thus, it belongs to sadhana, not a siddhanta. A action in our day-to-day life, if we do without the doership and the desire for the fruits of action, it becomes a sadhana for us. All our actions we can do that way. That will make our mind purer and remove the obstruction in the form of Ajnana Samshaya Viparya. So, there is a misinformation that, Advaita is teaching about inaction. No, Advaita is not teaching about inaction. But it is teaching about the right way of action, which is there in the Bhagavad Gita. When action ceases to bind us, but not when the action stops. It can happen only when the craving and aversion are not there in the actions. Now the pattern of the verses changes from here. So I will take this from the next verse onwards with the introduction to the next verse which Shankaracharya is giving in the coming class, that is tomorrow, the same time, 8:30 p.m. Indian time. Because Shankaracharya has written slightly more introduction before the next verse starts. And that is very, very much needed to discuss before we go to the next verse, which is starting from Esha te abhihite sankhye buddhir yoge tvamim vimam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So that verse, 39th verse onwards, is showing us that the Gita studies the mind by worldly reason first. Then it liberates by the truth and never allows the two to be confused. That is why from this point onward, the karma aspect is being discussed in detail. So the verse which we concluded today is a sadhana in the form of karma, actions. But how it is to be done is being introduced from the next verse onwards, which we will See you tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawada.
Thank you very much, Binduji. I've opened the chat and the hand raising. If there's any follow-up questions.
See you tomorrow then.
Nobody's coming up. Binduji, it might be a slight distraction, but I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of the youngsters, they always speak about this question of determinism and free will in the modern context.
Mm.
How would you place that aspect in the context of action? Because you're shifting into karma. I wanted to hear your insight on how do you place those kind of language, the determinism, free will in that context.
See, the very idea of free will is partial knowledge. Because what we call it as determinism or free will is assuming that there are certain factors which are constant. And therefore, I have a choice which I can make based on my information which is available. But what happens is that when one of those constant changes, the free will which one has thought is the right one can go wrong. So when that happens, he is unable to explain why he is changing his free will to suit the new set of changes. That is why people talk about free will and, I can do that. But the next moment is uncertain. So what is the free will we are talking about? We are talking about a free will which, assuming that I am there tomorrow, I will be breathing tomorrow also, and all this world will continue in the same fashion. Everything will remain constant, and under the constant conditions, I have option to make this. So therefore, that is my free will. But who knows that? What are the things going to change tomorrow? What is the status of whether the person who is making a free will is alive tomorrow or not? Or he is in a mentally, physically fit condition to execute what he thought as his free will. All these things being impermanent in nature, the very idea of free will is a misinformed knowledge or misguided information. That is my way of looking at it. I will rather accept the way things are happening rather than force my free will to things which cannot be, there is a famous statement, no? Accept the things which cannot be changed. Change the things which can be altered. To know the difference between what is changeable and what is not changeable is the wisdom. So applying the wisdom, we should be able to make out the right choice.
Thank you, Binduji. Yeah, that's full of wisdom because, change is possible. And that's where I think wherever your actions can make sense. Yes, thank you. SK, welcome.
Namaste, SK.
Yes,
SK, are you there?
So whatever you were saying earlier about doing action without worrying about results,
Yes.
right? Like,
Oh, there.
but
Yeah.
see, yeah.
You could,
So one problem is Bindoji, like, see, isn't somewhere this about developing apathy for everything, right? Like, because
no,
if you really look at it, like, when you're really not in the game, right? Like, I mean, in the sense that you're not really trying to win or lose, or, it's just like your heart is not in it, right? Like, so for that you need motivation, right? Like, and this kind of, that apathy kind of takes away that motivation, right? Vinodji? Sorry, I mean, that question, I hope it
no,
made
no,
sense.
no. No, no. Your question is valid from the point of view which you are looking at it. But from the absolute point of view, or when you are in any action you take it, you seems to be saying that if I have motivation, then only I'll be acting. But that is not the case. Motivation is not why we are acting. We are acting because we are alive. All actions are required depending upon the situation in which we are. The motivation is not in the action. It is in the mind with which you are entering into the action. The action doesn't motivate by itself. So the motivation you may say is in the result. But you are unsure, or you are predictable as to what can be the outcome. Now, for example, when you are entering into a action, if you are worried about, or if you are concerned about, or you are desire about the outcome, your involvement in the action will be to direct it towards the result. Even if the action has an option to be better than what was instructed to you. Because you are not looking at the action for itself in the full picture. Because part of the picture has been taken away by the anticipation of the result or the motivation. So your attention toward the engagement in action is diluted, and there can be two things: either fear of losing, or lack of performance to the required level. You will not enforce yourself. You will not put all your might in the action, all your knowledge in action, because you will be pushed back, or you will be pulled back by your desire for the result. This invariably is unrecognized and unnoticed by all of us. We think that the carrot will make us work better. But when the carrot is hanging on a stick, we are also worried about the stick. That is the reason why we are all not 100% successful in our work. A person who is not desirous of the result, he will be 100% at the work, and what the work needs will be completed 100%, because his mind is 100% in the action. He is neither worried about the result nor anticipating a motivation for that. He works for the work's sake. For example, if a painter is interested in looking at the result of the outcome, he can't be 100% involved in the painting. He forgets his own identity, individuality and the presence there. He becomes an instrument in painting. Such a painting only becomes marvelous or excellent. Otherwise, that painting will have shortcomings based on the individual's, mental this thing, makeup. If you are in a melancholic way, you went to your office, your programming or your whatever work or anything in there, do you think you will be able to concentrate on your work? No. Same is the case if you are worried about the bonus or the increment which will come out of the job. But a person who is enjoying the job, he knows that when he is 100% at the job, the result cannot go anywhere but to him. So such an attitude makes those people who are excellent in their work, you will find them, they are 100% in the job, not worried about the outcome. Because they know the outcome has to come to them, go nowhere else. That is not what they are worried about. What they are worried about is how they are performing in the action. So where is the apathy coming from?
Sure. That was beautiful, Bindoji. Like, thanks a lot. But Bindoji, like, one thing is, like, say, this might sound a bit melodramatic, but like, how do we know, like, what is the Kurukshetra? See, because like it's not very clear, right? Like in modern times, like so.
The word
So basically,
Kuru is coming from Kru Dhatu, means action. Kurukshetra means, even though it is meant by the Kaurava Kshetra or Kurukshetra, there is a pun in the word, means field of action. Kurukshetra can mean also field of action, which is not a war like millions of soldiers on one side and another millions of soldiers on this side. No. Millions of hurdles in front of us are the soldiers who are fighting us. And the millions of people from our side are all that memory, feelings, emotions, thoughts, everything which is from our side. If they do not perform or help us, we cannot function properly to overcome the hurdles in the war of life. So both sides is helping for our performance. Living is an action. In that action, if we want to be 100% successful, we have to be free to act. That free to act can come only when there are no baggages to us. Any baggage, either as hurdles in the front or emotions, feelings and thoughts and, Raga Dvesha from our side, that will make us inefficient. The only method in which we can go is without getting contaminated by these things. For that, you have to make an equanimous approach. That equanimity can come only when you are not worried about the pleasure and the pain, gain or loss or victory or loss. Any sort of duality cannot be a hindrance for your performance. So, keeping them all at par, treating them mentally at par, outcome can vary, but that doesn't interfere you at the time of your action. The outcome is later. That is the motivation which you are talking about. The outcome should not be a hindrance in your action.
Yeah, thanks, Binoji.
Yes. Okay.
Uh,
Namaste.
if we,
Check.
yeah,
Oh,
if
yeah.
one
Go
more
ahead.
question is permitted, Binoji, like,
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, but see, the problem isn't this a problem, Bindoji? Like, say, if everything is, just an illusion, it's like kind of the final say on things, right? Like, it is just like illusory, right? Like, in that, like, suppose, like, even, we of course all have our field of actions, right? Like, and in this field of actions, whenever, like, we exercise our agency, it is to achieve an outcome, right? Like, I mean, everyone is doing, like, their parts of the job, but like when that agency is exercised, it is always necessarily to achieve an outcome. So when it is being told that, like, say, you just let go of that agency as well as for the desire for that outcome, right? Like, yeah, that is what I am calling as apathy, Binoj,
I
right?
can,
Like
I
that,
can. Yeah.
yeah.
But SK, you should understand one thing. If you are imagining a situation, you don't want to do any action in your life. Is it possible? It's not possible.
Definitely not. Yeah. Yeah.
So actions will come to us whether we like it or not. It is not that all actions are motivated by results or all actions are hindered by problems. They are coming as it is. So the moment you accept them, you have the two options. Either perform without worrying about what is the outcome, or if you are worried about the outcome, don't get into the action at all, because it can be against you. So when you go that direction, what is happening is that your choice will be, with a doubt, you will be entering into a action. And when you enter with a doubt, you will never be 100% successful in it. If Virat Kohli is entering the thing and he has a doubt that whether I will play good or not today, he has no choice. He will have to face the balls. And what outcome if he is worried about the 50th ball? For why you might have seen that in the cricket. Many of the great players, they lose just one ball shot, 99 or 49, they go out. Why? When they reach that step of one more run to complete, there is a doubt in their mind. Will I be able to complete it? And if they had that, then they will not be able to make it. But if they did not have that, come what it, I have made it many times, so let me not worry about this time. Invariably, they will be succeeding that. But nobody will admit that unless you ask them personally. In your life, SK, you take your examples. How many times have you withdrawn from action for fear of failure? Just fear of failure. You yourself will be able to know that those places you could have performed the best, yet you did not do it. Why? Because you were not sure about yourself. Something else was controlling you. What was controlling you? Either distraction, daga, or dvesha, hatred against something. These are the two things which will make us not function properly. But if you know that I am not going to cow down to either raga or dvesha, attachment or aversion, both are not there for me. Whatever comes is acceptable. Then you will be 100% successful.
Yeah. Thanks, Binoj. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, SK.
I'm done. Manoj.
Okay. Namaste, Jai.
Namaste, Rinduji. I have two questions.
Go ahead.
Before that, a
Yes.
comment. I'm 50 plus and I want to lead a peaceful life, spiritual / meditative. But this is inspiring me for action. Thank you.
Yes.
I did not expect this deviation, but okay. So, Binduji, what in the big picture, what I am comprehending is that this J's role is also there. I have to play effectively and efficiently. And but in reality, J is a transient wave like golden ornament, which is transient by itself. It doesn't have a reality, but that wholeness only exists. So now this learning is one of the things which taking the time of J from doing his duties effectively. So looks like the J has to balance his expected action in this world and the spiritual search to know that in reality, even though J is there, but that universal singular only is acting. So how much time should I spend or balance these two, activity and search?
Jai, the approach towards activity will be all actions are being done by the nature of action itself. And when you are engaged in action with the knowledge that these are all inevitable actions and I am who I am, indeed, which I found out during my search for myself, and then you are involved in it, you are neither having the doership nor enjoyership in the actions. You will continue to act without getting affected by them. And even in them, you will find you are doing the search for the reality. Every action is not an action as we think. They are all opportunities for us to know ourselves. That is how the nature has created that. We have created our waking hours, dream, everywhere we have actions which we see as actions. But actions are not out of the something which we have not desired for. Desired for in the sense when we came to waking, we came with the actions as requirements of the experience. But in that, there is a design in such a way that who is acting? That question we don't take up. We think that our mind and intellect and the individuality is the one which is acting. In fact, when we take it as our mind and intellect, the contaminations in the mind and intellect also will color the action. But when we take it as that it is part of the design, and both the actions, the object of action, the subject in action, all of them are nothing but the same one truth, then there is no individual who is in action. It is the supreme in action which is functioning through you onto the object which is also supreme in nature. So when you apply that, you are performing the action, but you are converting that into the search of your truth. So the action becomes a sadhana. That is what Shankaracharya has mentioned in this one. This is a sadhana. Yes, action can never be what you call divorced from the search. Because that verse which I often say that Pratibodha Viditam Matam. So every action every moment, our breathing onwards, everything is giving us an opportunity to find our truth. So that is the truth which you are searching for. So your actions are not separate from that search. That every action is at that search only.
Thanks, Binduji. This is helpful. My next question is, after years of spiritual like learning, there's one thing is very clear to me is that uh, the J, the personality, is a mental projection. This I've read for like years and years. So, and I want to, just yesterday's in your talks, one thing was, I got an insight that like my mind is also an internal projection. The whole of physical external projection is also that universal projection. So I need your help to validate this point of view, or am I off track on this? So from this point of view, the whole universe, the singular is that singular universe's supreme's projection, inside which there is also a human mind which also projects thoughts inside this. But even though these thoughts are projected inside a jivatma or this separate so-called individual, this itself as a whole is projected by that one singular universal supreme. Is this a good point of view to pursue, Binduji?
That is the point of view only. But there, what happens is that the individual, even though is a projection of the Supreme, that individual now assumes a separate role, thinking that it is independent, separate from the rest of the creation. When that type of a thought takes over the individual, we call it as ignorance or Maya. And then he is not in a position to come out of that ignorance, because he believed it to such an extent that it became a reality to him. And he is now not able to go back to the original condition where from he came. It's just like you decided to enter a forest, thinking so confidently that you can come back. But after having traveled some distance, you are at loss how to go back. That is the situation of the individual when he forgets he has come from Supreme. He is now needing somebody in the forest to guide him back which direction is from where he came. That person is called a guru. And he is blessed to find a guru in the forest, if he can find one. We are fortunate. We have Shankaracharya and others who are helping us to see that way out of the forest of ignorance.
Third and last question for now. In the physical external world where we are playing these roles, Binduji, finding out what is right, what is wrong is a big problem. Almost always there is no right, wrong. There is always gray areas, like there are shades of gray. At least in that battlefield, everything is said, okay, I'm this side of the battlefield, this party, that is that type party, and then we have to destroy. Crystal clear. I know deciding to act itself is a struggle, but at least it is black and white. Okay, those are the disturbed people I should kill. These are the people I should protect. But in real life, there are so many scenarios, Binduji, where we cannot be sure. Like, okay, is this right? Is this wrong? And only after we do, we know. We don't even know whether it is right or not. Forget about the results later, the fruits. So in those scenarios, I mean, should we go like a barbarian and work hard like mad, and then later repent? Oh my God, this is a foolish decision I did. This is foolish actions I did. So this is surely about the action of this J, the personality. how can we be very sure whether this is right or wrong, even before we conclude and start the action?
See, there is right and wrong is our mental makeup. Actions can be there, but right or wrong is based on the social norms, which we say that which is right, which is wrong. But then there are prerequisites for our performance. For example, a person wants to learn swimming or swim in the swimming pool.
I'll
But
give you another
without,
example. Sorry. Let us assume this is Second World War and then you are Nazi Germany soldier and your job is to gas those 1,000 people. If you don't gas, they will kill you. For example, I'm giving a extreme case, but please, can you elaborate on this example?
See, the thing is that if he is feeling that the person inside the person who I'm gassing, putting in chamber is also like me, another human being, he is to take action according to that. But if there is a command above him who is insisting on him to do it, he is in a state of helplessness. Either his boss will shoot him, or he will have to kill the people in the gas chamber. So he is in a place where he has no choice. Suppose he is thinking that he is similar to the people in that thing. Instead of me killing somebody, let somebody else kill that. I am not going to do it, and I am ready to die for that people. That is one way of looking at it. If a person would have done that way. But other person who is fear about his death, who knows that he will die, he will say, instead of my boss killing me, let me kill others in the gas chamber. That is a person who knows that there is birth and death as inevitables. He doesn't know that there are inevitables in life. Today or tomorrow you are going to die. So why are you afraid of death? Let your boss shoot you and kill you, but you are not going to kill the others. From your point of view, you will stand for the right of them. But a person who doesn't know that, death and birth are inevitables of life. There is really speaking, I am the self, I don't have birth or death. Such a person will not obey the boss, and he is ready to take a bullet on his chest from the boss, rather than he killing the hundreds and thousands of people in the gas chamber.
Would have killed, got himself killed then, most probably, in this situation.
Because I don't die. This body will die. I don't die. If I know that, then why should I kill others? Thinking that, others also don't die because they are not the body. If that is the attitude you are taking. So there are inevitables in a war which cannot be generalized as a situation. What is right or wrong cannot be judged in a war situation. That is where, it becomes duty from the point of view of war is different, and duty from the point of humanity is different. These two are at conflict because war is not a requirement of humanity. It is a requirement of distressed mind which needs for certain purposes. Greed and attachment are the reason why people enter into war. And the war, when it itself is not desired, there the predicament of the person is he has to do what is his duty for the war. If he is on the Nazi side, he will have to do the gas chamber thing. But if he is not mentally on the Nazi side, even though he is from that side, but he is not there, then he should be ready to take a bullet on himself. But in either case, as Krishna has said to Arjuna, by win or lose, if you win, you get the kingdom. If you lose, you go to heaven. So why are you worried about it? Is the question which Krishna has asked. Right?
Thank you. This is all very helpful. Thanks. Done.
Thank you, Jai. Thank you, SK. And thank you, Prakash. We'll continue tomorrow. Okay?
Okay,
Hari Om.
Bindu. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Take care.